Right, what we have here is very, very special. We didn't actually have time. I would love to have made a full video feature on these. So this is quite I'll probably spend a bit of time talking about them because they are very special. Push that button and up we go. This is a pair of James Purdy and Sons, made for the 1889 Paris exhibition. So in the 100-year anniversary of Paris becoming a republic, they held an exhibition, for which they even built the Eiffel Tower, which I think is pretty awesome. And they invited everybody to sort of come and exhibit, and this thing had 32 million visitors. 32 million visitors. It was open for quite a while, so it's not that bad. And there was regular exhibitions, but this was a super big one. And Purdy made this pair of guns to exhibit there. These are hammer ejectors, so they're a bit of an oddity, really. A bit of an oddity, slightly rarer than others. I suppose at the time hammers were being phased out very rapidly, and there's always going to be somebody who prefers them somewhere along the line. Good to know that being object to change is not a new thing for the shooting community, or the British one anyway. So, put that together and see what you think of that. So these are made to the highest specification with beautifully figured walnut, lovely little island locks there, beautifully rounded action, and into the blued steel nitro-approved barrels with ejectors. An interesting thing with this gun actually is that, well, there's a multitude of interesting things with this gun and with the Paris exhibition, to be fair, is that this gun itself, or both of these guns, were never submitted to the Paris exhibition. In fact, a multitude of British gun makers went and won awards, but although they built these guns, Purdy never went, but neither did Hollands and Bosses. And Wesley Richards won the grand prize, Le Grand Prix, which is vaguely fascinating. Obviously, we will never know why they never sent it. More importantly, well, it was a time when there was a lot of innovation. Wesley Richards' drop locks may have won it, but we don't know. I'm sure somebody will be able to find out if they dedicate enough time. It in itself is fascinating that they then therefore did not send this. What's also fascinating is that this was nowhere near their top-of-the-range gun at the time. Nowhere near the top-of-the-range gun. Because they'd just come up with the self-opening side lock a year before. Why they wouldn't have submitted that? Just all seems a bit strange, doesn't it? But then the Paris exhibition was indeed strange. Not only was the Eiffel Tower built for it, they had a exhibition of African natives. It was the main attraction apparently was 400 African tribesmen and women. It was a very different time, and we can sort of leave it at that. But this thing went on for a while. Lots of British gun makers won lots of things, but these guys didn't even enter. What's more interesting again is that actually on the original worksheet for these guns, they didn't actually specify or spec ejectors. So the best that anyone can assume is that they were built ejector ready. Oh, it is beautiful, isn't it? Built ejector ready, but then not with ejectors. For a Mr. Mosley. Interesting thing. A beautiful pair, and actually relatively reasonable in value, which is something for an extremely usable pair of guns, because they do, like all of the best quality stuff in here, they are just beautiful, and they handle well, and they're beautifully built by hand, by craftsmen. And to quote a friend of mine once again, older than any human alive, and probably older than any human alive's parents as well. What an absolute spectacle of history. And, well, it's nice to see an old gun with unbelievable wood. What a thing. What a real thing. Anyway, that's enough just dreaming and waxing lyrical about those. Let's move on. Before we go into this really beautiful leather box, there's a lot of bridle leather boxes, but there's very few in this kind of buffalo leather kind of affair. We're going to look at this. You may not have seen one of these before. This is a Ganaki. So, well, essentially what it is a loader's bank. So instead of a cartridge bag or anything like that, you have this. I've actually opened it the wrong way. You have this round your neck, loaded up with cartridges before the drive, and they're quite popular in various formats in other countries. If you need, with all your things, but usually you'd have it on a table next to your little bench. But isn't that beautiful? And you have the beautiful label in the back there. I genuinely think these are awesome things. I don't use one personally, but one day, what a beautiful thing. Come in various sizes, but that one is particularly special. Well, I say that one's particularly special. They're all particularly special, and well, I thought I'd share that with the world. This is up next. Look at this one. I mean, it is, let's just say, it's not actually just a common or garden Holland and Holland. This Holland and Holland comes with 2 barrels. The first is a extremely regular shotgun barrel, which is still pretty good because it's a Holland and Holland, right? But the second, and this is where this gets really exciting, is a Holland and Holland Paradox barrel. So all of a sudden you've gone from a regular shotgun to a do-all gun. And it is beautifully Holland and Holland. We have sights regulated at 50, 100 and 150 yards. And then the exciting part, the Paradox rifling. So if you take it off, and we have looked at these in the past, we've got a video with a much older gun than this out there. But isn't that amazing? Just a very short section of rifling at the end. Either for spreading choke or, in all honesty, regulating ball is the real thing. But that is an amazing bit of kit. And you can use it as a regular shotgun all you like, which might be interesting. In fact, therein lies the difficulty, isn't it? Is actually, I was about to say, you could get that as a shotgun on your license and keep this in a gun shop potentially as your section 1 segment, but seeing as it has been a section 1, it will be forevermore a section 1. However, chatting to the lads here, it is not uncommon for people to get these with the stipulation that they are to be used as shotguns, or alternatively, isn't that beautiful? It just tucks underneath. You can get it for use for humane dispatch, potentially. Depending on your county, different counties, as we all know, are slightly different. Some better than others, but all equally brilliant, obviously. So the next 2 guns actually, or the next 2 boxes worth of guns are actually some of the best in the auction. Well, depending on who you talk to. So Simon Reinhold, who you've seen in a couple of videos, or will do, reckons these are the guns of the auction for him. This is a pair of Ross & Sons. And these are actually very pleasant. Provincial gunmaker from Derby. But if we have a little look at them, you have beautiful carving around the fences there. And what tickled Simon's boat is the beautiful bordering and the fact that it's non-continuous. You just have these lovely little lips, little sort of swirls, and actually a very, very finely made gun. And because of where it's made, ironically, worth significantly less than some other guns in here that are just as nice. But I really like them. Lot 1359 for those of you who want to go and check them out, because they're Simon's pick of the auction, and I can see why. They are beautiful, beautifully figured stocks, very nicely put together. And I think they've got a very classic, they've got an older style than the actual time the gun was made. Very pleasant, like them a lot. However, they're not my pick. I have everything in here. When I say pick, I mean they are the ones that he would have spent his money on if he was in the position to buy in this auction, or was intending to buy anything in this auction. And the problem is, having worked here for a little while, or worked around the trade for a while, he probably has more guns than he needs. Whereas this is mine. I did contemplate just not showing anybody this because I really, really want it. And if somebody would like to buy me this as a treat, that would be great. Chances of me bidding on it are quite high, actually. So please, I say please don't buy it unless you're buying it for me. Oh, it's a hard one, isn't it? This is particularly special. Anyone who knows me will know I've got a real thing for single shot rifles, but just have not bought one yet. Mostly because my friends have had them, or have them, and the ability to use therefore is quite, well, the accessibility is very high. This is French. It's a 270 single shot rifle. Has a traditional single locking lug in the bottom, but it is absolutely stunning. I think we can all agree on that. It comes with open sights, but even better than that, it comes with a Zeiss Daivari ZM 2.5 to 10 by 48 scope. So, actually, you have this little machine. I think that this is inexplicably nice. Double set trigger, comes up beautifully. A little long in the stock as well, actually. It is a little long in the stock for most people, which obviously appeals. It's a little short, but manageably short. So not only do I think the actual whole engraving is beautiful, you have a Rodo and a Roebuck with Bordeaux where this gun was built. On the bottom you have an Ibex, a Mouflon and a Wild Boar, and on the offside a Red Stag and Hind. I'll try and read that upside down. Giguel. My apologies if I butchered that or said it nowhere near. Beautiful long trigger guard leading to this skeleton grip cap. This is one hell of a single shot gun. You know, the chance of it being just as accurate or as good as some of the actual tilting block, the Jaeger block kips is probably minimal. But for the sort of thing that I would do, road deer at 100 yards and muntjac at 50 feet. This gun is most definitely a piece of me. 100%. And, I mean, yeah. Anyway, let's move off of that. Please don't buy it. And if you're going to buy it, let me shoot it at least. Please. Just once. Like beautifully floating barrel and everything, and that's a nice little touch there. You have the floating barrel, and this block is actually machined onto the back there, and it is a monoblock machined onto the back of the monoblock with your catch on it. That is actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. And actually a couple of little adjusters here and there. A very nice gun, a very, very nice gun indeed. Anyway, as I said, please do me the courtesy of telling me if you're going to buy it, so I can cry beforehand. Because that is cool. Lovely. All right, let's pop that away. I promise this will be the last Holland. No, it won't actually. We'll probably look at a load more, but another Holland and Holland Royal. This time with a swept comb stock. So this cuts back into your shoulder, but will allow your face to sit on it. Again, for the larger gentleman, this is a easy opening gun. Self opener. A beautiful thing, but you'll find you will need a fuller face or a fuller jaw to shoot a gun like this with any ease. But it is beautiful, quick detachable, locks the work. So This is actually quite a more modern one. And I think it's beautiful. But just for a case of comparison, here is an older one. So as you can see, they are different engraving patterns, and the fit and finish on them is slightly different. But overall, it's hard to pick much different from the older one to the newer one. Because we're not here to really, they're both beautiful, aren't they? And amazing that things just change over time, given that there's probably about 40 years between them or something. On to something a little bit more reasonable. It's a pair of absolutely unfired AWA A20 bores. The wood isn't anything exciting to write home about, but you rarely look at it when you're enjoying a matched pair of 20s. These are really very nice. Really very nice. I think they're up for all of about £4 and a bit grand as well, which, considering that one of those new is many money, it's actually quite reasonable for a matched pair that have never been fired. This also caught my eye in the single shot department. This is a 7mm Rem mag. Look at the colour hardening on that. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's particularly stylish. It's very Teutonic in its design, but it is nonetheless a beautiful Stützen, open-sighted with swing-off mounts. And actually, the mounts bear their own dream-worthiness with that engraving on there. I think we can all agree on that. So I keep thinking we all agree. The beauty here is actually there's plenty that I haven't shown you because it perhaps doesn't float my boat, but would definitely float somebody else's. The engraving is not over the top, but it is exceptionally executed. The grips, the stock, the triple fold, it is very interesting. Johann Mckay. Nice. I like Stützens, I like single shots, how can you not like that? What is interesting to me is if you have a look in there. That's quite cool, isn't it?
Through the barrel?
Yeah. I'll let you tell me what that is. It is, all in all, an absolutely stunning piece. Just the engineering quality on it is second to none. I think yeah. But that's what we get when you buy a gun that's made in Furlac. So, let's pop that away, click that down, and move on. I think you can pick one of this. This is sort of valued in under £2,000 again. For it's sight plated. For a hand-built, very good-looking gun. Quite happily, sort of gun you take home to see your mum, innit? Wonderful thing, a wonderful thing. All right, ready for a mystery box. We haven't actually done a mystery box yet. James Bond's PPK. Not actual James Bond's one, but well, pretty much the same apart from serial.
What? It is a PPK.
It is. I would say exactly the same apart from the serial number. That's quite smart, but deactivated. Yeah. Next here we have a Purdy pinfire. This is quite interesting actually. They only made about 35 of these. So that pushes down and the whole barrel moves forward. So actually what you end up with is quite an easy loading option for a breech loader back then. What is also interesting is the pin fire. Obviously the pin sticks out, they get struck by the hammer. You have these little ramps that then catch the pin, so when you opened up the gun, the hammers would self-extract the cartridges. Very, very cool. And exceedingly rare. Unfortunately, well, there's no unfortunate about it. It's an antique, so you can own it or take it because it's obsolete, but it's also very, very pretty. Anyway, next is this. A Manu France volley gun, a Carabine Buffalo. This, although many people have seen the Manu France bolt actions before, and I've seen the very, very similar mechanism in a single shot, is a 3-shot volley gun. So you have 3 2.2 rimfire bullets. Triple fold-up sights for range. So they reckon 150 yards effective. And this is about the most expensive one they made. Very nicely put together and absolutely beautiful. So these Manufrances will come in just about every shape and form you could ever imagine, from Target to sporting. And Manufrance is a French manufacturer of guns and bikes, pretty much. So it is their version of BSA. And obviously we have BSA models which sort of covered every base as well, but this one, colour hardened, engraved, that fires 3 2.2 rimfires simultaneously. Pretty awesome, isn't it? I think there's no doubt that that is an absolutely amazing thing. Next. The real rarity in this gun isn't what it is. There's quite a few little Holland Holland Rook rifles about because, well, they were making some of the best. In fact, they were winners of all the field rifle trials, as they say, on their own guns. But somebody to order the best quality engraving, the deluxe edition with these accents, was extremely rare. In fact, this was ordered by a Maharaja, which is, well, at the time, they did enjoy their opulence. And it really is just extraordinary in its own way. Well, obsolete caliber as well, so you can own this with the elephanty highlights, as you will. Anyway, back onto more exotic things. We have a very large case with inside is a pair of David Mckay Browns. So David Mckay Brown is a current maker. They well, these guns won't be able to tool, I wouldn't have thought. And these guns, actually, well, he only makes 2 types, you see. One is based on the Dixon round action, which these are. And where they're a true trigger plate action, these guns, they can really allow for an extremely, extremely rounded action, which, well, leads to a very beautiful gun. The other ones are over and unders, and they are equally as slimline and beautiful. In fact, let's pull these out. There we go. And these guns have literally done nothing. Putting them together is actually well, not complex, just a lot tighter than I expected. Look at that. So Mckay Brown it has a very small team. I believe there's only 4 of them up there, but they put together some of the most beautiful guns you'll ever see. Again, wish I could do a full piece on this, but just look how that trigger tang is actually inlet beautifully and surrounded by the metal of the trigger plate there. And these inside are insane bits of engineering, but they work very well. Beautiful wood, beautiful gun. Beautiful case. English. What more could you possibly want, really? Anyway, moving on. Next, a double rifle in 400 Nitro Express. A W.J. Jeffrey on the left. So, this is vaguely interesting, only by appearance more than anything else. So on the side you have a buffalo, on the other side you have the same, and on the bottom you also have a buffalo. These buffaloes are extremely stylized. They're all right, perhaps not for me, but interesting enough all the same. What's really nice is you have the flip-up sights at 1, 2, 3, 400 and 500 yards for when you're shooting extreme long-range buffalo. What's further to the interest is the stock being, I mean, I presume the stock on 4End are nowhere near original, just looking at the quality of them. Looking at the quality of the inlet, the quality of the wood. It's an interesting gun, and I doubt it's worth a great deal of money given its lack of quality, but it would be lovely to see somebody buy this gun and invest in getting it right, because this is probably not what Jeffrey... No, it's not Jeffrey, hold on. He's a Jeffrey. This is a W.J. Jeffrey, but it's pretty vile. Somebody needs to give it a new lease of life. If you don't believe me, have a little look at that safety catch there with the 3 cuts into it. A rather vile thing. But it's 400 Nitro Express, so it can't be bad even if it's really pretty bad. Next, here we go, is this beautiful thing, or these beautiful things. Look at that. Abbiatico and Salvinelli over and unders. I genuinely think these are some of the finest guns around. Alright, and finally here we have an SC3 MX8 in 20 bore. And we'll all agree that Perazzi's are very consistent and beautiful guns, and a lot of people and gun makers aspire to be like them. They may not be the master in any of the fields by comparison to guns we've seen, guns with better engraving and better wood and better actions, but as a package you do have to go a long way to beat an SC3 Perazzi. What a beautiful, beautiful bit of kit. Absolutely stunning. Welcome to the Antiques. I know I said right at the beginning we would make a separate video, but it has been an extremely long day between other things of filming. I'm not complaining, it's just been a long day of filming amazing guns, and we got to shoot a 1860s gun, Thomas, of course, which is amazing. But we're going to finish up with a dozen items here that are not entirely the cream, but are currently piquing my interest. So, starting off is this. How's that for a rifled Pepperball Pistol? 16, 17, 18 shots. 18 shots. All done off of a double action revolver. I mean, I expect you could empty out pretty quick. This is, I presume, for a time when the world was a little less safe. And if you had bad guys coming towards you, well, I know that they didn't have magazines. I think they complained about mag capacity with these back in the day. Who knows? But what an amazing, amazing thing. Adjustable trigger as well, which is, I think, quite smart. And then, just in case that did not do the job, one had this, a rather obscene caliber Pepperball pistol. That is particularly exciting, actually. I like that a lot. Yeah, I could get behind it. I wouldn't want to get in front of it. That's awesome. I wasn't entirely sure how I felt. There's a really large amount of World War II German military here, helmets, armour, such like things. I don't know how it makes me feel. I'm sure it'll upset some people, but it's extremely interesting. Going from there just to one final pistol. This is a really rather tasty one that has the sprung-loaded bayonet complete with it. So, you know, it's amazing that the world wasn't a safe place once upon a time. And the things that people had for their own protection, or you like. So that's just raised a very important point, that perhaps things like this is why the world wasn't a safe place. It's the old-fashioned rule of escalation, because if someone's coming towards you and you've missed, you have something like this. That is a piece of history right there. That is a piece of history right there. Going on to something a little less violent. So any more the antiques are more violent than a lot of the more modern stuff. So we might as well finish with the violence. This is a very interesting thing. This is a thing, there's a thing. This is a do-all self-protector. You have a knuckle duster, you have a knife, and if all else fails, this converts into a pistol as well. I mean,
that is genius.
This would drive somebody mad. We looked at knife guns last time, and this is kind of the crux of it, isn't it? This is...
It absolutely wipes the floor with the knife gun.
This is a bit insane. That's all I'm going to say about it. But, as I said, these sort of things often aren't very good at doing anything well as a wanner. So, perhaps, well, I suppose it's the multi-tool, isn't it? Speaking of which, we have a 100-piece multi-tool. This is particularly special and extremely rare with mother of pearl handles. Everything on this knife is absolutely gorgeous, and I like that very much. But I think everybody wanted a Leatherman that big. Oh, sorry, yeah. Everyone wanted a Swiss Army knife that big, or Victorinox. But this is just the beautifully finished hand-filed, handmade version. That is unbelievably special. And It's even got a toothpick. Next we have this little Belgian beauty. I mean, it's been a bit of a volley gun thing. Mostly because I've always been attracted to volley guns because they've got quite so many bangs. This particular beauty is 7 shots. What is very cool is this. It may sound like a Garand, but it is not. It has this little clip, if you like. This little magazine that helps extract. Just clicks in like that. It's like, I think, a 7mm rimfire. This is awesome. The presumption is with this is designed for shooting geese, really just to maximise the amount of depth that you have. Off sat on the floor, because I think sending 7mm up into the sky might be frowned upon. Somewhere along the line. You all know I love these, we did a video on one last time we were here, but this is a smaller version, a sporting version. This is a Henry Knock of London, but instead of the big balls, we're running slightly smaller ones. So this is a sporting gun as opposed to the other, which is a man gun. It's awesome. Slightly less awesome where it's scaled down, but it is still amazing. There's nothing about a knock gun that isn't the best thing in the entire world. This one isn't as nice and order as the last one though. Here we have something else. Again, this is just one of those guns with a very unique action. On pulling the hammer back to half cock, this button is pressed and lifts the lock that keeps the barrel in place. As the barrel goes round, it pushes this little block out the way and it pushes another cartridge into the chamber. The block follows it round, clicks into place, click back, fire. A very interesting form of repeater, I think we'll all agree. It's a Meriden manufacturing company, I've never seen one before, that's epic. The second smallest gun we have here today on our 100 guns. Doesn't really take a lot of explanation, it's a big old blunderbuss. Feels like a bit of a cartoon, doesn't it? And our third last gun is here. Significantly more refined than everything else we've looked at from this antiques pile. And there is a huge amount in this room that's all been catalogued waiting to be put out on display, and it is all delicious, and in fact vastly more rare and exciting than these, but these certainly took my fancy. This is a Joseph Manton 20 bore flintlock. It is superbly put together and delicious in every single way. I think you'll agree. Second last gun of our 100 guns of Holts this time round is this. This is a 0 bore Snyder action breech loading punter. Well, it's pretty epic. So those who don't know how Snyders work, you have a large breech, your cartridge will go in, this then locks down, and as you fire the rather large hammer from the gigantic trigger, it strikes the firing pin that goes all the way through this block and into the action there. This is beautiful, although its provenance is definitely questionable. Where it's got the brown barrel as opposed to the painted, and the stock, it's all quite fine. It's whether this is actually a full shotgun or not is not known, or whether somebody has done it up is not known, but it is epic. In my head it's designed like for a bit of this action, but clearly not. What an amazing gun that is. And like with all these big things, they're actually great value for money if you think about it as like mass for money, because it's a huge gun. I really like that. Obviously I like the 4-finger trigger. I just think it's a beautifully made, manufactured thing in every way. A bit like this one here is a much more practical unit, but still brilliantly cool. Still brilliantly cool. Right, our final gun of the 100 guns of Holts is in this case. It's one of the first guns I saw when we came in here. So this is a Swinburne & Son patent 1862 Jacobs rifle, named after General Jacob, I believe. It says Jacobs Rifles on the back of the patch box there. This was a Indian rifle, and it was designed actually for this Jacob character who believed that this was the best military rifle possible at the time, and he started a native brigade with 1,000 blokes in, most of which were armed with these. They were extraordinarily expensive, and I do believe that he self-funded part of the project. This is amazing, a 32 bore muzzle-loading rifle with extremely ambitious 2,000 yard sights, which at maximum range, I mean, funny, you'd have to shoot at something like that, which is, oh, come on, it's amazing. It was a time of innovation, amongst other things, and this, with its sword bayonet, has got to be one of the coolest military rifles of all time, period. Guys, thank you very much for watching. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much to Holts. Go and check out their catalogue because they truly provide some of the best and most amazing guns of all time. And if I could afford this, I would buy it in a heartbeat, because what better thing to own? That's it, isn't it? What better thing to own apart from a fairly unique piece of history?